And the last play of their season was Jameis Winston ignoring their head coach and going in for a touchdown. That head coach is somehow still employed. We got to move on to New Orleans Saints. 2023 was a very, very confusing year for Saints fans. And if you talk to them, because I was trying to make sense of it, they don't even know what really happened. Like, they're a team that if you look at all their advanced metrics, it says dominant offense. But then you look at the on-field product and you're like, something don't smell right. They were 9-8, but they also played against the easiest schedule in the league and somehow managed to not make the playoffs, where the division winner was also 9-8. And the last play of their season was Jameis Winston ignoring their head coach and going in for a touchdown. That head coach is somehow still employed. Somehow he still has a job.
But I totally forgot.
Somehow he still has a job, but Jameis Winston had to leave because he was the problem. So for the New Orleans Saints, is it more likely that they make the playoffs or they end up with the number 1 overall pick?
I'm going to say they are going to make the playoffs, my friend.
You have a lot more faith in Dennis Allen than I do, buddy.
Oh yeah, but you know, I'm glad. I'm gonna let y'all know this guy right here does his work. He does his homework. He's prepared. He gave me so much notes for me to understand what this podcast is about, y'all. So I really do mean that, man. Like, he's done really well.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, because if you didn't give me some of those notes, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be really ready for what the question that you given me, because I would have told you before the notes the Saints is getting that first round overall pick. All right, that's what I mean by why those notes are so important, because I had to really take that back and really look at the Saints and see, oh wait, there's some hope left. It's there.
There is hope left. And I do think that this team, just from a organizational competency, is going to be better. Dennis Allen caught a lot of smoke that really was for Pete Carmichael because their offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, should have been fired the year before last year, but somehow held on. They got him out of here and brought in Klint Kubiak. If the last name sounds familiar, it should. Gary Kubiak's son from Houston Texans and rode Peyton Manning's coattails to a Super Bowl fame. So from that standpoint, they should be better, but I have a hard time seeing them make the playoffs for, number one, because I don't see a scenario where the Falcons don't win this division. And back to that whole how deep the middle class of the NFC is. Do we see them getting a better record than Eagles and or Cowboys, whoever doesn't win the NFC East? Seahawks, Rams, maybe the Cardinals, whoever doesn't win the NFC West coming out of there. NFC North, Bears, Packers, Lions, whoever doesn't win it there. When I look at them compared to that level of team, that's where I go, we might be looking at a top 10 overall pick, so it's more likely to me they end up with the first overall pick in the draft.
It is definitely last chance you for some of these guys. So I understand that, bringing on Chase Young and still having an IQ on the other side. I don't even care about who's less talented at that point. The IQ veterans come into the game, they can do some work when it comes down to it. I feel like Cam Jordan has closed out games before.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not wrong, like sacks on just like, oh, this is fourth and whatever. He's there. Like
he's not,
the white framing.
Let me be clear. He's not washed. He's just older and not as good as Montez Sweat. A lot of people aren't as good as Montez Sweat. Let me be clear on that. I'm happy you brought up Chase Young. I have insane DMV bias, like PG County guy. Like Chase Young is one of the hometown hero. I'm insanely biased when it comes to guys like Chase Young. He has all the athletic talent in the world. The problem isn't talent. It's for some reason he hasn't been able to put it together he has not been in a room where he's going to have a leader like a Cam Jordan, but not even just Cam Jordan, DeMario Davis, who secretly has been one of the 5 best linebackers in the league for the better part of a decade. So
yeah, really has.
being around leaders like that, I'm with you. I think this is going to be the best version of Chase Young we're going to get. If not, then you are 1000% correct. This is last chance you. If he can't get it right now with the guys around him in New Orleans, it's a wrap.
I believe like it to that fact. It's like for most of these guys, we've maybe I would say for me, since Tyrann Mathieu got on that team, I'd say that's when I started counting down the time for all that. I honestly don't even know how the Saints have been keeping these guys together. I'm like, some of these guys we must be taking pay cuts because they must like love New Orleans or something. Because
they are making voodoo black magic with the cap space. They started the offseason with negative $75.9 million in cap space. I said negative, people. That is a minus sign. They are currently at 8.8 million. Now, they lost a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong. Michael Thomas
don't talk about Jameis Winston like that.
I love Jameis. I love Jameis. Jameis is on our team. Zach Braun, et cetera, et cetera. None of those are $80 million worth of difference on the cap. They've been pushing the can down the road on this cap space. So I'm very happy you brought that up. Somehow they just keep these guys year after year after year. They're just racking up credit cards by putting it on another credit card and taking out a loan to pay for this loan. But the chickens are going to come home to roost eventually, guys.
Right. Another point I wanted to make too was that with that Cam Jordan and Chase Young both on the different ends, does that give those the teams that we've been talking about in the NFC South, do those offensive coordinators think differently of what they're going to do because of these two ends that can do the work if healthy? I
think Chase Young's going to have to show it first, but if we get that peak version of Chase Young, that number 2 overall pick of the draft reaches his potential, absolutely. Yeah. The game plan has to change. If we get peak version of him and Cam Jordan manages to keep from being over the hill for another year, oh yeah, like the game plan, we got to change some stuff because our tackles are going to be able to hold up forever. As good as even the Atlanta offensive line is, we got to switch this up. But I want to go back to New Orleans offense for a second.
Okay.
Because with bringing Klint Kubiak in, as I was looking and parsing through some of the stats, it's hard to piece together how much we can attribute to him and how much we could blame him for in his last 2 spots. So the last 2 spots he was at was the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan, who might be the best offensive mind in the league, outside of maybe the guy he just lost to in the Super Bowl. And then the year before, he was in that same passing game coordinator type role with the Broncos with, at that point, what was Russell Wilson's worst season of his career. But we also see that Nat Hackett is not very good at the whole offensive coordinator thing. See the Jets this year. So it's kind of hard for me to piece which one are you between those two. You get what I'm trying to say? Like where on that spectrum do you fall? Because that's about as wide of a range as we can go. So my thing is, when he was a passing coordinator with the Broncos, they were 28th in EPA. They were 19th in yards, 23rd in touchdowns. He's a pass coordinator with the Niners the following year. First in EPA, 4th in total yards, 2nd in touchdowns. It could not be a greater swing. And the thing I do think he's going to be able to help him out, though, if you ask a New Orleans Saints fan who really follows the team closely, look at them, ask about last season, mention the red zone offense, and you will see their face turn like the Winter Soldier. Because they had like a good 3-week span where they were sub 50% in the red zone scoring touchdowns. Some way, somehow. I'm sorry. I got the exact number in front of me here. It was a 6-game stretch where they went 10 of 24. And they averaged just under 400 yards a game during that stretch. And somehow, some way, he came up short in the red zone damn near every single time. And the San Francisco 49ers had the best red zone offense in the league. They were at 67% touchdown rate. So that is a place I think almost immediately we're going to be able to see that change. It would be nice if they would have kept Jimmy Graham, having a 6'6" tight end that could jump out the gym. Very helpful in the red zone.
Very much so.
Pretty
Very
helpful.
Much so.
Pretty helpful if you're not Pete Carmichael, you know how to utilize that tight end.
Yes.
But that's one of those things that I think we're going to be able to keep an eye on. What say you?
With the Saints offensively, I believe that it's going to take kind of he's going to have to do exactly what he did with Brock Purdy last year.
This is where the Brock Purdy conversation gets interesting.
Okay.
Because I think Brock Purdy is playing the quarterback position in a different stratosphere than Derek Carr is right now.
Right.
Derek Carr last season is not the Derek Carr we saw in Oakland/Vegas.
No, for sure.
It's a lot more check down, Charlie. It's a lot more, I really don't want to get hit. Granted, that offensive line last year was not great. Mm-hmm. And Ryan Ramczyk, who's their best offensive lineman, is on the PUP list right now. There's word that he may possibly have to retire. Hopefully that doesn't come out between the time that this podcast releases and the time it's recorded. That would suck.
Yo, for real.
And just as a football fan, I don't want to see him retire because I'm an offensive line nerd, not like watching him play football.
I wanted to get you the comparison that what the San Francisco 49ers have to what the Saints have offensively is pretty kind of the same when you really think about it. Ooh. You got if healthy. Remember, I hate to say
we're assuming health. I got you. We're assuming health.
We always got to assume health. So you have Kamara, who's your CMC. You have, I want to say his name is Rashid Shaheed, who could be, or Taysom Hill, who can be your Debo Samuels, however you want to do it. You're right about them losing a tight end. But I thought about that. I was like, yeah, he's reliable. But like you said, Montez Sweat is better than Cam Jordan. So right. it's like who is their tight end?
They have Jawan Johnson, and I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They have Taysom Hill listed as a backup at like 8 different positions. This is hilarious.
Right. On my depth chart that I got from, I guess it's Outlanders.com, I got that it was he was a tight end, halfback tight end, but they put him under tight end. So
his position is just yes. His position is just a football logo.
Right. He might as well be the new logo of the NFL at this point.
Pretty much.
Yeah, so they got those guys that can produce with Chris Olave, and then I forgot I can't think of the other receiver. If you can help me who they have.
Rasheen Shaheed and Chris Olave, those are their 2 receivers that actually matter.
That matter, right. Is Mike Thomas on there? No?
Nah, they let him go.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
They let him go.
All right, so like you kind of have the same dynamic with the San Francisco 49ers. So I believe that Klint Kubiak has like this chance to really redeem Derek Carr's career. Here's my only thing is like with Derek Carr, when he was almost at an MVP season with the Oakland Raiders, his play action
top notch. Before he hurt his finger. And let's give him that. Let's give the shout out the doubt of that one too. So, like with Klint Kubiak and what he did with Brock Purdy, I expect him to do the same thing with Derek Carr. But here's my thing: the offensive line is kind of, I don't know, right? It's shaky.
It's shaky. Second thing is, I believe, and I don't want to say this is because I've heard this from some other people. It's just that like Spencer Rattler might be that guy that can come in and do the things that's possible that's better for Klint Kubiak just because he has a little bit of the leg mobility. But I heard he's kind of a little too cocky.
I don't think he's there from a talent standpoint. Yes, but from a maturity point, we gotta let Spencer simmer for a couple of years before we make him the starting quarterback.
That's funny you say that because it's like we've been telling, what's that called? Telephone? It's like, how do you say maturity when that's exactly what I was talking about?
Nope. all due respect to Spencer, but like the word's been out on Spencer for quite some time. Like
Right.
from the show he was on Netflix, that started with him having a bad rep. He tried to say, "Oh, the cameras made me look bad," and then we went on for years, and you've done nothing to disprove that.
At all.
All we've had is confirmation of, yeah, that was pretty accurate.
Right,
So,
right.
Hopefully, he's an adult now. Hopefully, he goes on to mature, and he ends up being the quarterback that fits the station of his talent. And we do have to get to the last team in this division. Day after the season, the headline for the Saints season is what?
Derek Carr or die.
Derek Carr or die. Derek Carr or die. I have the opposite. It is, will Bill Belichick take the Saints job instead of the Cowboys job? Will Belichick take the Saints job opening instead of the Cowboys opening?
Leave that boy alone.
Dennis Allen will be on NFL Network analyzing the games come next season. He'll be on Saturday Night Football at halftime breaking down the games.
Yeah, right. You're winning with the headlines. You're 3-0, man.